closely. You're about to experience a nigger moment. Webster defines the nigger moment as a moment when ignorance overwhelms the mind of an otherwise logical Negro male, causing him to act in an illogical, self-destructive manner, i.e., like a nigger.
Ever since Avengers Infinity War, I've been slowly stepping away from the MCU more and more. To be honest, I didn't even see Endgame until a year after its initial release, and there are several other movies and TV shows that I've skipped out on entirely. One of those being the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show that premiered back in 2021. However, from what I've heard, along with the handful of scenes that I have actually watched, as the show plays in the background while I edit this video, the series is both damaging to the characters and forgettable in the long run. Additionally, this is the show that apparently tried to reinforce the Endgame funeral scene and replace Steve Rogers' Captain America with Sam Wilson's Falcon. But it seems like even the creators of Captain America Brave New World are unsure if that message got across to the audience, making for some very cringy dialogue that just screams, "We have low confidence in Sam Wilson's portrayal as Captain America." Because let's be real, the majority of the older MCU audience probably haven't even seen Sam Wilson since his Endgame appearance. In fact, I'm willing to bet that many of those same fans have no idea why there's a giant head and hand sticking out of the ocean. Which is kind of a big deal when the entire plot of the movie revolves around retrieving adamantium from the Celestial that's apparently just been chilling there for the past few years. The fact that you have to do homework in order to fully understand the story going on in Brave New World really helps to encapsulate the lack of creativity behind this flick's creation. And no amount of last-minute reshoots are a feasible excuse for the problem. Y'all remember the first Avengers film? How all the characters and the overall plot were contextualized within the movie in an efficient way so you don't need to see the previous ones to understand what's going on? But nah, we are deep into a new era of Disney Marvel, where concepts like story and character development play second fiddle to political allegories and social messaging. With that sort of manipulative formula being popularized by Disney, it should come as no surprise that Captain America Brave New World is just plain old bad. While at the same time, it never really feels like Sam Wilson has convincingly succeeded Steve Rogers as Captain America.
Captain America.
Captain America, I dreamt of it.
Save some for us, Cap. Captain America. Captain America.
Captain America's here, do you come?
Captain America.
Captain America.
Captain America.
Captain America.
Captain America.
Captain America.
When I break out, Captain America. Captain America. Captain America.
Captain America.
Captain America. Captain America. Captain America. Kill Captain America.
You know, I got a crazy idea. If you're gonna make the asinine decision of turning the once established character of the Falcon into Captain America, then why don't you just give him the super soldier serum? You've already crafted his choreography as though he was a super soldier. It's a big pet peeve of mine, that being pretty much everything involving the shield combat. It shouldn't be too much of a surprise that, in the age of firearms and drone warfare, the average human can't really do much with just a shield, and the fact that it's vibranium doesn't really matter if you don't have an enhanced level of reflexes, durability, and strength in which to effectively utilize this 2.5 foot diameter disc. By the way, that's all disregarding the fact that when Sam is fully decked out in his Falcon gear, the shield is comparatively useless. So it makes perfect sense that when Sam and his sidekick breach the leader's not-so-secret compound, Sam decides to only bring along the shield for a location that is crawling with guards. Guards that are conveniently armed with mostly non-lethal melee weapons. Now, when the fight scene approaches its climax, and we reach the cliche turnaround moment for the hero, Sam kicks the shield so hard that even after ricocheting off the wall, there's enough force to knock out this helmet-wearing dude. Unfortunately, This is not a video game where ricochet shots do extra damage. It's actually quite the opposite, where ricocheting causes the object to lose kinetic energy, meaning the energy necessary to perform this sort of move would require Sam to kick the shield with enough force to snap his leg in two. Mind you, this is all occurring after what is presumably only days after Sam got stabbed twice.
Most men don't survive, but axe to the gut. Kevlar weaving, I presume? Perks of the job.
You shut up. Someone really needs to tell the writers at Disney that stab wounds are extremely debilitating, if not completely lethal. And don't even get me started on all the damage that Sam is tanking while fighting Harrison Hulkman. Vibranium armor or not, it's simply jarring to see Sam Wilson go toe-to-toe with the Hulk, a feat that even Thor struggled with, and a fight that required Iron Man to pull out a specialized Hulkbuster suit.
Sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Now, there is a very simple solution to these problems, that being, just give Sam the super soldier serum. And by the way, the film acknowledging this stupid decision of refusing to give Sam the serum doesn't excuse its existence as a critical plot contrivance. If I can get autistically nerdy for a moment, when Steve Rogers is slinging the shield and performing ridiculous ricochet shots, he's not just randomly throwing the disc and getting lucky when it comes back to him in that brief fraction of a second before flinging the shield. Steve is taking aim with superhuman foresight so that the shield will return to him after hitting its targets. This is thanks to the fact that, in addition to the physical benefits of the super soldier serum, it simultaneously boosts the user's intellect. This is also a big reason as to why Steve was the leader of the Avengers in the first place. He may not be able to build a supersuit like Tony Stark, but he is able to make significantly strategic decisions at superhuman speed. Speaking of intelligence, another issue that becomes quickly apparent is the character of the leader. It's the same sort of problem that came about when Admiral Thrawn was introduced in the Ahsoka show. That being that this super genius is being written by people who are unable to convince the audience of said character's supposed advanced intellect. I mean, the leader talks like some skeevy producer rather than a super intelligent being. He also looks like the unfortunate love child of the Hulk and the Elephant Man. But we'll just ignore that aspect of the character, because it's far more annoying hearing this abomination speak in vague probabilities. It doesn't make him sound like a smart asshole, it just makes him sound like a smug asshole. At the same time, this is supposed to be the mastermind behind a possible open arms conflict beginning between America and Japan, while also drugging and manipulating President Ross into turning into the big red Harrison Hulkman. And the leader accomplishes this with pills that secrete gamma radiation into the bloodstream. You know, just some basic Google searches could have informed the writers that gamma rays are a type of high energy photon that passes completely through the body, just like an X-ray. But nah, going by this film's goofy logic about how to science up a Hulkman, there should be several of those big angry bastards just from hanging around President Ford for too long. But I guess it does by proxy make the whole Mr. Blue mind control mechanism in this movie feel less moronic. The highest praise I can give this film is that it isn't ham-fistingly shoving more woke propaganda down the audience's throats, like this Falcon and Winter Soldier show that just keeps on getting worse. That said, we still have a pocket-sized Black Widow hired as the president's main security guard. For starters, the movie never even properly communicates to the audience that the character has endured Black Widow training, but also, no hate to the actress Shira Haas, but she is comically smaller than everyone, including the dude she was hired to protect. I don't really mind that a former Black Widow got hired as a security guard, particularly if they were to focus more on her proficiency with weapons and general battle tactics. The problem I have is that she's depicted as this supposed imposing figure, yet she's so tiny. Nah, man. It would be akin to hiring Danny DeVito for the role.
I'm a villain, don't you see? Look at the garbage that I am here.
Frank! Just nasty, dude. Are you choking? Oh my god. No, throw it up in the bathroom! Get out of here! Go take a break. Go take a break. The troops are gonna be very happy to see that.
Apparently, a large amount of her original screen time was cut during reshoots. It's also pretty obvious that Gus was shoehorned into this movie during said reshoots. His roles in the story are comprised of 1. Being a minor inconvenience for Sam before he battles the main antagonist, aka a mini-boss, and 2. As an expositionary mouthpiece for the audience. But not to worry, because it's not just Gus. The entirety of the dialogue within this film is either an expositionary mess, or just a mass of cheesy one-liners and lazy exchanges. In fact, the big climactic moment in the plot, when Harrison Ford finally hulks out and has a minor skirmish with the Falcon, is quickly resolved with a half-hearted speech about not disappointing Betty. And who is Betty, you may ask?
Betty, my daughter.
Wait. I got a better idea. First. What is it? Let me just show you, man. Wait, I'm gonna have to say everything.
There's a very vain theme at play throughout the movie, one about having to prove yourself to others and the pressure of never being able to fail, which I just want to say that is an absolutely terrible theme to pass along to the youth. But regardless, this theme seems to be the main preventative that is keeping Sam from taking the super soldier serum. Rather than taking the quote-unquote easy way out, Sam wants to prove that he can be Captain America as just a normal man. A normal man with technology that rivals Iron Man, but sure, normal. And because he is just a normal dude, he must uphold an outward appearance of perfection to the public, so as not to appear inferior to the super soldier, Steve Rogers. It's such a shallow viewpoint and goes against the core values that Cap held. Steve Rogers was inspiring largely because of his failures. He was a man that had a strong sense of justice for the weak and bullied, himself once belonging to that group. After being given a tremendous gift, Steve remains true to himself and never lets any outside influence shake his personal integrity. And most importantly, no matter how many times you knock the guy down, he'll always get back up and fight for what he believes in, regardless of the odds. Unfortunately, the Sam Wilson in Brave New World does not portray the same values that Steve Rogers had, and as a result, he fails to fill the shoes of Captain America. I don't blame that on the actor, Anthony Mackie. I like the guy's portrayal as Falcon in older Marvel movies, but this is not the Marvel of old. This is the new Captain America, and it is just plain old bad.